For most of my life, I believed I was broken. That was until I transformed my silence into song. Now in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly how I went from being unable to say my own name without stuttering to speaking in front of hundreds of people. How I turned a disorder that nearly destroyed me into a methodology that's helping others find their voice. And why 70 million people who stutter finally don't have to stay silent anymore. But first, let me take you back to what being broken actually felt like. Now, this was not metaphorical. Not, I felt broken in the way people say when they're going through a hard time. I mean, I believed, with absolute certainty, that some fundamental part of me did not work. That everyone else had something I didn't have. The ability to speak. Because I'd open my mouth and my throat would seal shut. Words would get stuck like they were hitting a wall inside my chest, and when they finally came out, they came out shattered. Broken, gruesome sounds that proved over and over and over again how I wasn't like everyone else. And the thing about being broken, you start organizing your entire life around it. You stop trying to do the things broken people can't do. You disappear. You make yourself smaller. Because if you're quiet enough, maybe, just maybe, people won't notice how broken you really are. 70 million people worldwide stutter. That's 1 in every 100 children. But behind every statistic is a story. And those numbers don't begin to tell you what it actually feels like. Because they don't tell you the shame that builds up when you avoid saying your own name. The humiliation when you can't answer a simple question in class. The isolation when you walk away from a conversation because participating feels impossible. People who stutter are 3 to 4 times more likely to suffer from depression than the general population. More than 2/3 of us deal with anxiety disorders. And suicide risk? It's real, it's documented, but it's completely ignored. Because here's what society does with speech disorders. We punish them. You won't get the job interview. Your presentation will kill your credibility. Relationships won't start because you couldn't say hello without your voice giving out. And most people who stutter, they'll never access therapy. Never get professional help. They'll just learn to accept that this is how it is. That they're supposed to stay quiet, stay small, stay broken. And I live that reality every single day. Because I tried to answer a question in class and nothing would come out. Just broken sounds. The kind that make people look away because they're uncomfortable. I failed, presentation after presentation. Every introduction was torture. Every time I had to say my own name, the fundamental marker of who someone is, felt like proof that something was fundamentally wrong with me. So I learned to disappear. And I became really good at being invisible. I built my entire identity around what I couldn't do instead of what I could. Thousands of questions I never answered, conversations I avoided, opportunities I walked away from because my voice, this unreliable, humiliating voice, stood between me and everything I wanted. And I wanted so much. I wanted to debate. I wanted to lead. I wanted to matter. But how do you matter when you can't speak? How do you lead when you can't say your own name without stuttering? So I accepted it. Told myself this was just how it's going to be. That I would always be less than everyone else. That I'd play a supporting role in my main life because the main character has to be able to speak. But there was a moment I realized something. I was done. I was done accepting that I'd always be less. I was done letting my throat decide my future. I was done building my life around what I couldn't do. I had a horrible hand for what I wanted to accomplish. I mean, that's just the truth. But I decided I was going to play it anyway. Because what else was I supposed to do? Just give up? Accept silence forever? No. I decided to do something about it. Not tomorrow, not when I was ready, right then. I had no clue if it would work. I just knew I had to try something different. Because the alternative was spending the rest of my life believing I was broken. And I wasn't willing to do that anymore. And then, something happened that I still honestly don't fully understand. Because I was 30 seconds into a speech at a tournament, maybe a minute, and the words this time were coming out. Not broken, not shattered, just words, one after another, flowing the way speech is supposed to work, but never had for me. So I kept waiting for it to fall apart, for my throat to close, for reality to remind me who I actually was and what I actually could and couldn't do. It never came. In that moment, I realized something. The ceiling I accepted as permanent had shattered. The limit I built my entire life underneath, it wasn't real. And above it, something I'd never imagined existed. Open sky. Endless, terrifying, but possible. Now, this entire breakthrough came from one observation. When I sang, I never stuttered. So I asked a question that seemed impossible. What if I could turn my speech into song? Now, not literally singing, but finding the musicality that's already hidden inside normal speech. The rhythm, the melody, and the flow. I spent countless hours breaking down what made singing different, understanding the neuroscience behind it, and finally building a methodology that anyone could use. I call it the song technique. And it works. Not just for me, for others. For people who stuttered their entire lives and never found relief anywhere else. And that's why I wrote this book, Silence to Song. And it's not just my story. It's a blueprint for anyone who's ever felt like their voice or some other part of them was broken. And it's exactly why I started Pragatham. Pragatham is a nonprofit focused on speech accessibility. Our mission is simple. Every voice deserves to be heard. Not just the fluent ones, not just the easy ones, every single one. Here's what we actually do. First and foremost, we build free resources. The book is just the beginning. We're creating a full digital library, videos, lesson plans, interactive exercises, age-appropriate modules that anyone can access regardless of location, ethnicity, or income. Because access should never depend on money. Second, we create community. Speech disorders are isolating. They come with shame, anxiety, and often depression. We build spaces where people can connect with no judgment. Peer groups, storytelling forums, and overall places where you don't have to perform or pretend, where being heard doesn't require perfection. And lastly, we both fund speech therapy access and organize free public speaking and communication workshops. We finally filled a gap that today's system and status quo have built. These aren't hypotheticals. It's happening right now. You can see everything we're doing at pragatham.org. And if you want to support this work, whether that's donating, volunteering, or just sharing this message, there's always a place for you. This book contains everything I've learned. The science behind why stuttering happens, the song technique methodology step by step, the practical tools I use every single day, and the honest truth about what it takes to go from silence to song. It's not magic, it's not a cure, but there is a path forward. And for a lot of people, that's all they need. Proof that there is a path, that impossibility is often just temporary, that what feels unreachable right now can become reachable and manageable with the right approach and sustained, structured efforts. So, if your challenge is speech, or confidence, or fear, or something else completely, the lesson is still the same. The path forward doesn't demand perfection. It demands direction. You don't need to wait until you're ready. You grow ready by beginning. And if you've ever felt broken because of your voice, I need you to hear this. You're not broken. You never were. Your voice is just waiting for the right song. This book is that song. Pragatham is that song. If you're willing to try, if you're willing to stop accepting the ceiling and start looking at the sky above it, then everything changes. Not overnight, not magically, but it changes. 70 million people worldwide stutter. Most of them believe they're broken. Most of them will never get help. And most of them will spend their entire lives making themselves smaller to avoid the pain. But it doesn't have to be that way. Silence to Song is available now on Amazon. Pragatham is live at pragatham.org, and every single word, every single dollar raised, and every single resource created exists for one reason: to prove that your voice deserves to be heard. Not someday, not when you're fluent, right now, exactly as you are. Thank you for listening.